Hey, this is Chelsea Dupre, co-host of Girl Hustle. Thanks for listening to the following podcast on Public House Media.
Hello everyone, it's No Filter Friday on Public House Media, and I am armed with tea because things have happened and I'm in a mood. So, I'm going to take a second to share the show. You should also share the show because sharing is caring. We talk about this every week. If you don't know, now you know. Should have been knowing, but that's a whole other thing. So, share the show, share the show, share the show. Oh, is that people coming in that I hear? Oh gosh, I don't have time for this Facebook nonsense. Share. Right post. It's Alexa. Hello, Alexa. Thanks for coming by. I knew you would. We just had a lovely conversation about bidets on Facebook. Oh. Anyway, so here we are. Amidst coronavirus panic, and everything's just too much to deal with. What a giant pain. Okay, so shared and sounding good. I'm here with my tea. Are you fantastic? Thank you for looking out, David Bopke. My hair is on some crazy stuff lately. I don't know what we're gonna do about this, but we have other things to handle. We have so many other things to handle. Okay, so first of all, I wrote down my my list of things that we're going to try to talk about, because I told you on the last episode that I was going to get to coronavirus, and then I didn't, but it kind of works out because I've got so much more information, because my DMs have been like on fire, and like not in the usual way with like dick pics, but with like good, solid information, which is really exciting. Laura's here. Of course Laura's here, because Laura and I have been talking this week. So it's going to be a situation. Okay, so anyway, we have to talk about another thing. So last week, I talked about my friend, Amy Harwick, who was also a guest on the show and murdered on the same day that her episode came out. And then 2 days ago, I was on set working on a jewelry commercial for my friend Gina. And turns out my old friend Josie was found dead in her car. Who's Josie, you might ask? Floyd Mayweather. I don't want to call her a baby mama, because despite the fact that they do have 3 kids together, they were together since they were 16. So baby mama doesn't seem, brought the shovels ready for some dirt. Doesn't seem appropriate. Just doesn't seem like an appropriate thing to call her. But there's no doubt in my mind that old Floydy Toiter had her killed or poisoned or something, because she was suing him, I think, for $20 million. Granted, I haven't talked to Josie in years, but I was very much involved in their physical split the last time that he beat her up. And if we're going to go through some tea on that real fast, the way that Floyd had got into the house is because their house in Vegas was kind of like a square, and their little son's bedroom had a door to the outside. So he ran around to his son's bedroom door and was like, open the door, open the door, open the door, open the door. And his son did, because that's a child listening to his father. And he came in, beat Josie up, and that's when you saw the TMZ coverage of her getting, Eric Espinosa, what's up? Of her getting carried away by an ambulance and all that stuff. And then, despite being Floyd Money Mayweather, which is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Greg, hi Greg, thanks for coming in. Even though he was making $69 million a year at the time, he was only paying $10,000 a month in child support for 3 children. She left with nothing, and we had to try to sell her ring that he bought the last year for doing other unscrupulous activities. So, dealing with the Josie situation, but we had to talk about that because I haven't even posted about it. It's just crazy. Her kids have been through so much, and I can't imagine losing their mom in such a hellacious way so soon. It's just crazy. It's just nuts. So that's probably story is probably going to get brushed under the rug because of the current situation, but not on this show, not on No Filter Friday. It is not brushed under the rug. Okay, so that makes us fortunately have to move past Josie. If I end up finding anything else about her, I'll obviously let you know, but I think that information pipeline is going to be tight, and I'm sure he'll get away with it because money. Anyway, so let's talk about old Harv. Old Harv, who is always a topic of the show. No Filter Friday is basically the Harvey Weinstein show with, some supporting characters here and there. Has finally been taken to jail, if you can believe it. He got sentenced to 23 years in New York, just in New York. And what I thought was really weird about the sentencing, because people were like, oh my God, that's too much, or oh my God, that's not enough. Like, there's like very polarizing in that way. Here's the weird thing, if you didn't come across this nugget of information. So he got 2 years for the rape of one girl and 21 for the forced oral copulation of another. I mean, shout out to Judge James Burke. I mean, obviously we all adore him. Hi, Andrew Hill. Thanks for coming in. We all obviously adore him for finally putting Harvey away, but strange sentencing. Whatever. That's fine. We'll take it. 23 years in Rikers Island. Couldn't be happier. And also keep in mind that 23 years is just his New York sentence. He is still on trial. He's still being investigated in Los Angeles. So that is a whole separate jurisdiction, whole separate situation, different set of accusers, different set of witnesses, different jury. That's going to be a different judge, like the whole new can of worms. And on top of it, like they thought they had problems putting jury together. And hi, Matt and Leon, holler. They thought they had a hard time putting together a jury in New York. You can't swing a cat without running into somebody who's had a problem with Harvey, because no one on this earth is like, oh, Harvey and Bob Weinstein. Like, nobody has ever enjoyed the company of Harvey and Bob Weinstein under any circumstances ever. So that's going to be like, you think 23 years was a thing in New York. Whew. They get him to Los Angeles. It's going to, be busier than a one-armed paper hanger. It's going to be crazy. So that leads us into the next thing. So yay, Harvey's in jail, but I don't know if any of you noticed, but his little shenanigans that he was pulling last week of, oh, I'm having heart palpitations and oh, I'm having a heart attack. Take me to the hospital. La, 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 la. All of this nonsense so he could hang out in the hospital for as long as possible before he had to go to Rikers Island. Finally, when they handcuffed him to that wheelchair and wheeled him, it would be No Filter Friday if we didn't talk about Harvey Weinstein. It's 100% true. It's basically the Harvey show. Like, again, there's some supporting characters that filter in every once in a while, but this is 2 years of Harvey. Like, we're in a very serious committed relationship, kids. Like, this is for real. Most people out here can't even get a text back. And look at this. Look at this beautiful relationship. So, finally, they cuff Harvey to his wheelchair for dramatic effect, and for they're probably legally required to, but it seemed like more drama than anything. And then they wheeled him smoothly to Rikers Island. How fabulous. I'm so happy for all the people that were involved in that, whether they were actual accusers or just support silence breakers in general. Like, they've been waiting for years, and not just waiting, like not sitting around like twiddling their thumbs, but like actually like dying inside on this journey. So it's like a major victory in that way. Now, again, we do not believe in coincidences on the show, and that goes double for Hollywood. So we've seen, how shall we say it? 43 years. No, it's 23 years in New York. We'll see what happens in Los Angeles. What shall we say? A roller coaster that we've been on for this coronavirus situation. Now, what do we always say on this show? Besides, there's no such thing as a coincidence, is that the mainstream media is a bunch of garbage. They lie constantly. They lie, they leave things out. That's just what they do. They can't be trusted. So much so that if something were really seriously happening, that was really, really horrible, they'd be burying the story. They'd be burying it. They'd be like, tra-la-la-la, nothing to see here, as per the usual, right? So if you're feeling some type of way, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling panicked, think about that. Under zero circumstances, at least in my lifetime, has the media ever been out to help you. They're not in the business of helping you. They're not. They're really, 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 really not. They're in the business of clickbait and ratings, just like any other TV show or media outlet. It's really, really interesting how everybody's like, oh my God, social distancing, don't go to work, shut down production, shut down this, shut down that. Cancel gatherings for events with more than 100 people, more than 500 people. Have you been to Costco lately? Way more than 100 people, way more than 500 people. That's just in one line. So the media is working overtime. They're certainly not taking any time off. The CNN building down the street's jumping. So is KTLA. So any other Universal City, NBC News, Telemundo, Death Control, Univision, all of them. They're all at work on overtime. They don't seem to be taking any time off. They're not social distancing at all. So what gives, kids? What gives? How very interesting. Grocery stores, they're on overtime. They're not closed down. Weird. How very strange. The very people telling you to stay home or have at work, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and doing overtime. Strange. So strange. Cannot be trusted. I'm telling you. Bunch of wankers. So, let's talk about some of these closures. They shut down Disneyland, which is a major key to this whole story. All the sports teams, MLB, HLN, who else? NBA, NFL, NCAA. They got initials. They're shut down. They're done. They're gone. You don't have to worry about any punk kids toilet papering houses right now because all the toilet paper is gone from the stores, right? What a strange thing to hoard. And honestly, if you think for a second that these companies that like the kinds of things that are selling out, are not direct advertisers on this media that's telling you to panic buy, you've got another thing coming. Back in the day when C was on Nickelodeon, we would go to some of these parties like surrounding Nickelodeon events like the Kids' Choice Awards and stuff like that. And they would have these parties and it would mostly be parents or people that worked in places that bought advertising, Bounty paper towels, for example, Target, and their kids. And that's kind of how they would grease the wheels on these advertisements. Rosa, good old Rosa, you're working PR. You know what I'm talking about. That's how they would grease these wheels. Now, for years, I would say the better part of a decade, maybe more, we've all been complaining about the bread and circuses aspect of the media and just the world around us in general of like, things can be actually going down and because American Idol's on and popping tonight, literally no one cares. Or because it's the Super Bowl or so-and-so's in the World Series or what have you. There's always stuff going around. There's, Cinnabon never shuts down. Neither does Taco Bell, open till 4 a.m. There's just plenty of distractions to be had. So to really get a story to take hold and people to really be impacted about it is really, really, really hard, especially when you have powers that be really trying to bury that story. We're seeing the other side of this breads and circuses thing. They're shutting down entertainment. And to be fair, entertainment is shutting itself down, which we're going to get to in a second. But when there's no sports on, can't go to a concert, can't go to a music festival, can't go to a film festival, because despite the city of Austin being like, hey, Southwest, like, we can't really say if this would actually prevent anything or not. And they're like, no, we're canceling. Which, by the way, is most likely a major insurance money grab because why would you cancel these events that are making you tons of money? production insurance, kids. That's why. Don't have to go to work if you collect a big check. Anyway, and it's like under their catastrophe policy. They, it's pennies on the dollar for what they're going to get because of it. Any refusals. No sports, no Disney, concerts, music festivals, production shut down. There's a whole list of shows that are shows and movies that are in production that are shut down. Most of them are features that you wouldn't necessarily have heard of because they're obviously not out yet. Some TV that's syndicated, some that's not syndicated, shut down. Despite we have very, 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 very few cases of coronavirus, entire productions shut down indefinitely. And pilots have gotten shut down. Shows that you've never heard of because they're pilots. So studios shutting down, and just like the offices, like not even like production itself, because that is one piece of the business, but like studios in general, networks in general, they're working from home or experimenting from working with home. And it's like, so weird. So many things have happened over the years in the history of television, in the history of recorded picture, perhaps. And they've never behaved this way. Because, like, the show must go on. Like, that comes from a little bit better than the Liberation of Romeo and Juliet that I was supposed to be in. My alma mater got canceled, but I'll get over it. Oh, buddy, Greg. Having a hard time. With no sort of entertainment, you're stuck with me. And besides being stuck with me, you have nothing to do but focus on this constant battering of mainstream media being absolutely shoved down your throat 24/7. And again, I kind of talked about this a little bit last week, like got home from Asia and I was taken aback, and I should be the first person to know this, but I just didn't think of it because I was drinking for weeks on end. Just didn't think about it. Like the forced hysteria coming through the media of like, oh my God. And I'm like, dude, I was just in Asia for like a month. Like, they're like, you want massage? Like, literally no one cares. No one cares. It's not an issue. They're still kind of going around business as usual, which I can't say was anything different, surrounding H1N1 or radiation for that matter when I was staying in Japan. People just do what they do. Like, there wasn't, after the earthquake and the radiation, Tokyo was a little bit darker. They didn't, use as many lights as they used to, but like even darker is still blinding there because, they're into their LEDs and their neon and all that stuff. So that was it. Oh, and the grocery stores closed a little bit earlier. Instead of closing at 10 or 11, they closed at 8 or 9. That was the effect of, the effect of that. It was, and that was a, far, crazier, nastier, grosser virus that had millions of cases of H1N1 globally. Like that was insane. And that's when they kind of invented like the mass temperature scan, or I shouldn't say they invented it, but they airlines started implementing that mass temperature scan when you come off the plane. They're scanning everybody with a FLIR camera to see who's got a fever. And then before they moved to that, they would go on to the, like, medical professionals would come onto the plane and check for fevers throughout the plane. And then if someone had a fever, they would keep them and then decide if they were going to deplane the whole thing or send it back or whatever. And then once they got past that, which was deplaning for like hours, they got to the mass temperature scan of people coming off the plane. And then when I re-entered India from Thailand, they checked us all temperature scan individually, and I had to fill out a form saying where I'd been in the last 14 days, and if I had coughing, sneezing, fever, etc., blah, blah, blah. And they did that for everybody. And then they sent us on our way. Mind you, when I re-entered the United States via New Jersey, they didn't check anybody. Checked literally no one. And they were very rude in customs. So it's a real big difference in mood between now and let me see what day this was. For 2 weeks ago. It's a major change in 2 weeks. Major change. And all of a sudden now, your travel to Europe is no more. And I thought that was weird when that came out the other day. I was like, really? 26 countries in Europe? What does this have to do with anywhere in Scandinavia? Norway, Finland, Sweden? Like, they don't have any problems. And they have a nice little water barrier. What about Latvia? What does Latvia have to do with this? Like, 26 countries is a lot. That's flying in Europe is a lot of work these days. Totally worth it. I'd do it tonight, given the opportunity, or tomorrow. Or the next day, or the day after that. Totally do it. And at this point, I wouldn't even care where I go. Over it. I'm over it. So, and I couldn't put the pieces together. I'm like, what? I mean, really? Like Italy? Totally get it. Maybe surrounding countries. Switzerland, pieces of France, maybe even as far as Greece, possibly, just to get the little cooties out there in the Mediterranean. But some of these places in Eastern Europe or Scandinavia, I'm like, what does that have to do? That has nothing to do with anything. Like, what? That's crazy. So I was like, man, that's strange, right? Like, really, all of the Europe except UK. UK, nope, you can go back and forth UK all you want. Knock yourself out. And it's probably going to be cheap, too, because nobody's flying. It's like, that's interesting. London Heathrow, Gatwick, Edinburgh, Dublin. Go crazy. They got an airport down in Wales. I'm sure they do. I don't know what it is, but all in there. Knock yourself out. You can totally go. I'm like, well, what's the difference between the UK and Scandinavia? Does this make any sense? Okay, so trying to pick that out for a while. And then my dear, wonderful friends are on their honeymoon, and they were kicking it down in Peru, and they're like, we're a little tired of Peru. And they were supposed to go stay in Peru for a little while, have a week in Miami, and then fly home via New York. And I'm like, okay, cool. I got a little bit nervous about that. Not feeling Peru, so they just picked up and went to Miami. And they're having a lovely time in Miami, which makes me have serious FOMO because I love South Beach. And South Beach is kicking right now with or without Ultrafest. So if you can get them $30 Spirit Frights, take them because it's going to be amazing. And the hotels are basically empty. I was like, wow, how would you get home if you can't go through Europe and Asia is like that hot lava game when you play when you're kids, like the floor is lava, you can't touch it. It's like you can only land in certain places. Really hard to get back there. So like maybe I have to go through Dubai, maybe? In the Middle East? Something? Emirates? Etihad? One of those airlines? Like, and then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, I get it. That's why they blocked off Europe. Now I get it. So, where did Mr. Woody Allen and Roman Polanski go? Europe. And on the heels of Harvey Weinstein actually going to jail, and best believe he's going to sing like a canary if they don't kill him first. He's going to give up all the goods. I always told you that he's a sacrificial lamb. I've always said this from day one. He's a sacrificial lamb, and it's only going to wild it from here. We're getting wild. The wild is here. Petalwood is going to fall. And then at the same time yesterday, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's like, oh, we're in Australia. We tested positive for coronavirus. What? And then Justin Trudeau's wife, I think it got announced today, she tested positive for coronavirus. Sean Menzie. Oh, thanks for coming in, buddy. Can someone explain to me how Tom Hanks and Justin Trudeau's wife, some of the most elite people in the world that fly private and don't have to touch or come in contact with normal people, can someone explain to me how they've magically gotten coronavirus and Tom and Rita have to stay in Australia in quarantine and be treated? It smells. It's fishy. Point blank period there is. This doesn't make any sense. This little 3.6% fatality rate we do far worse things in our daily lives that are way more probable to cause you harm or death. I mean, humans are pretty fragile creatures. I mean, toxic shock syndrome from tampons has a higher fatality rate than that. And we use those every month for decades of our lives. Furthermore, getting in a car accident, going back and forth between these stores trying to buy toilet paper and panic buy frozen food, far more greater chance of getting in a car accident than you do actually coming in contact with this virus. Like, has anybody even met, or does anybody know anybody with this virus? I'm asking for clarity, honestly, because I don't know anyway. By the way, it's hard to go even 30 seconds without touching your face. Just saying, I have come to the conclusion that I'm a little bit closer to Howie Mandel's level of germaphobe than I thought I was. Like, I thought I was out here rolling dirty. Like, I really did. Like, oh, Rachel, you really need to get yourself together. Like, pure all that, honey. But I never noticed, like, how hyper vigilant I am about, like, touching doorknobs and elevator buttons and, or not letting stuff that touches me, like, touch the ground. Oh, Sue, thanks for coming in. I never noticed that about myself until now. And I'm like, you're not all obsessively washing your hands and doing, like, the elbow through the door and the back of your hand. Like, I'm just out here Howie Mandeling. Like, that's what I'm doing. I didn't know that. News to me. So where were we? Agencies, travel bans, Disney, sports teams, numbers. Yes, numbers. We've seen far worse things in this world that have not warranted this level of hysteria. We really, really, really have. There's all kinds of things that are really deadly, like numbers-wise, 22 veteran suicide a day. Don't even get me started on the opioid epidemic. That kills loads of people every single day. But we don't really talk about it. And nobody seems to be worried about it. Like, I get it. Junkies don't exactly get good press, but still, like, there are far more probable things that you will come in contact with that will harm or kill you than the current or even moderately projected statistics of this virus. Yet Disney is closed for the fourth time in history. Weird. And people are begging for the New York Stock Exchange to get shut down. It's like, we can trade online. It's fine. You don't have to shut down the exchange. Let them do what they do. Like, maybe don't go on the floor, but if you don't feel so inclined, but you don't need to anyway, you can trade online. You can sell your position and buy as much as you want online. No big deal. So let's talk about this Disney situation. Disney closing down. Here's where this gets really wild. Disney's closed down, and all the agencies and management firms this morning are like, we're all closing down. If you look at my last post that I made before this one, it will give you the entire list that Laura posted. Hi, Shay, thanks for coming in. Of agencies and management firms that are closed down for an unspecified amount of time. Now, what do we know about agencies and management firms? Well, they have been facilitated. We're going to get taken out by the fear, not the actual virus. You are not wrong. You are nailing it right now, Sean Menzie. Absolutely. The fallout from this is going to be way worse than any sort of medical conundrum that we come in contact with. These agencies, these management firms, have been facilitating the sexual abuse of adults and children in this disgusting Petalwood town since the invention of recorded picture and sound. It's just the case. Remember how we had that talk about CAA and the Time's Up and the blah, 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 blah? That's like many, many, many episodes again. Go back and listen to it or watch it, depending on what kind of viewer you are. They've had their hands in this. Terry Crews called them out on it in plain, bold-face English. facilitated. Or Kate Beckinsale's agent used to send her to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room when she was underage to put money in their pocket. All of these people are running scared because things are going down, but it doesn't have anything to do with this virus. It doesn't have even a little morsel of a smidgen of things to do with this virus. And I'm not going to commit to saying that Petalwood is fully going to fall, like 100% going to fall, but I think we can at least count on a 75% or an 80% fall. Maybe there'll be a few little ones that, fall through the cracks or whatever, but the big ones, the major players, are going to fall ill and take the way out so they don't end up like Harvey or Jenny, or they will up and disappear, and you will hear about them in the coming weeks or months. So we shall see how this goes, but if you're one of those people that's like, this don't make no sense, there's something going on here. There's absolutely something going on, and it has nothing to do with this little virus from China. It just, the numbers just don't make sense. They just don't. They just don't. And even if you say add or minus, like add or subtract like a 30% margin for error on any of those numbers across the board, like viruses that we have seen for the past, since the mid 70s. Julian, hey Julian, if you add that margin of error, which is a substantial healthy margin for error, it still doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. So if you want to sit at home and eat Doritos and frozen macaroni and cheese, knock yourself out. Go right ahead. That's your choice. And I think, introverts of the world rejoice. They're loving it right now. They're like, we're not supposed to go anywhere? Hallelujah. How fantastic. And I don't blame them. They're allowed to be happy. That's cool. But don't think for a second that this is about the general population, because it's definitely not. The media has never once been out to help you, and they're certainly not out to help you now. However, I will say, stay out of the way. Election year, yeah, that's a big part of it too. That's a big part of it too. There's definitely, they'll never miss a chance to go for each other's throats. This is just another knife in the arsenal. It's a big knife. It's a Crocodile Dundee size knife, but it's a knife nonetheless. Like, they would have picked it up regardless. It just is what it is. What are you going to do? They love fighting with each other. This and this and no. I mean, especially like around debate time, it's professional smear campaign time. Everybody's talking shit about the next person. Everybody. It's part of the game. Personally, I think once you start running for office, I think you should have to take a vow of silence. Laura West wants to know what you got against frozen mac and cheese. Nothing. I'm dairy-free currently, and I have been for months, but absolutely nothing, my little trash panda of love. Absolutely nothing. I feel most sad for the small business that are going to be affected by this. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's another conversation a quick conversation that we're going to have, because it's kind of off topic, but we need to talk about it anyway. So, everybody's saying in the pro-social distancing camp that, if we overreact, it'll be fine. Well, we won't even know. There's, we just won't have this virus. It'll be stamped out, and that will be that. We would be very naive to think that that there's no consequences for that, because there are. So many things have been canceled. So long as you're not going to get groceries, the line is super short. Totally. Oh my gosh. I went to go see a client in Santa Clarita, and I got done a little early, so I was like, I don't want to sit in traffic. So I went to the mall, like I do, because Gucci, and it smelled perfumes, and just tra-la-la around this empty mall, and it was fantastic. It was so great. I got to squeeze everything. I got to eat my stone oven in peace. It was glorious. I loved it. I loved every second of it. But to pretend like there's not going to be consequences from this is just not true. And that's playing out in a lot of people's lives across industries, across the country, across other countries. There will be there are currently consequences for this social distancing situation. And furthermore, if the media is going to tell you, oh, don't go anywhere, you stay home, you don't do anything, you first, CNN, you first. When your office building is empty, I will stay home. How about that? I don't believe any of you for the hottest of seconds. I never did anyway, but I certainly don't now. And I was feeling some type of way about that because I'm a big first-hand experience person, so much so that I will send myself to the ground zero of whatever issue. Be like, tell me about it. I want to see it with my own eyes and I want to judge it with my own side eyes and hear it with my own ears. Like, let's work this out. Love, 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 love first-hand information, which is why I do this show. And because of it, I have all these beautiful relationships in the DMs with people that send me information. It's fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. It's why I do the show live. I can sit at my desk leisurely and record episodes of podcasts, and then David Bobke, my lovely engineer, could spiff those all together for you and just put it out wherever you can get your podcast. And that would be that. But this conversation that we're having, that's why I do this live. I get nasty reviews on iTunes because of it, but I don't care about those people. I care about you. It's about the community, man. The community that No Filter Friday fosters, which is why it's on Public House Media. We're all interwoven here. We're all on the same team. So things are coming. They're going to be epic. Pedowood's going to fall at least by 75%. We might have to stamp out the other 25 at a later date, but this is going to be a big fall swoop for the gross, disgusting, evil people that run around in this town and New York as well. And those who run to Europe to try to get away. It's going to be a reckoning of fabulous pedo-apocalypse proportions. So that's what I'm going to leave you with for the rest of the evening. And on top of it, this is so annoying. I had to go to AutoZone to find Purell. You call David lovely. He's my friend, but I'm not calling. He's lovely to me, Greg. He's lovely to me. I think AutoZone's it's a great alternative if you need to go, especially garage soap. Whoo, stuff's gnarly, and they always got those nice shop towels. It's a great place it's a great place to go. O'Reilly Auto Parts, perhaps. All those places are a good alternative. I will leave you with this, though. The people that are feeling some type of way about, like, this is so serious, and how dare you say that it's not, and how dare you not regurgitate what the mainstream media told you? They're not running on firsthand knowledge. They're not. They're just regurgitating, and they have clung to what the mainstream media has told them like it's gospel, and it's not. These people cannot be trusted on any issue, this included. Do you think all of a sudden they've cleaned up their act? No, absolutely not. There's literally no way. Is there another comment in here? Hi, Dave. Thanks for coming by. You said that you would. Clinging to dear life to just regurgitate what the media has told them. Be patient with them. They're under the spell. And just look how easy it has become to invoke mass panic, hysteria, and all of this anxiety. They flipped a switch and everybody's tripping balls. Oh, it's going to be crazy. If it was actually crazy, you would be getting all of these soothing, don't worry, it's going to be okay messages. That's what you'd be getting. If that was actually the case, you're going to get the opposite. So let's all woo-saw, pull it in, rein in our firsthand knowledge and our firsthand experience, breathe, and think about it and be like, you know what? If this was actually the case, what would they be saying? What have they done before? Because there's plenty of patterns of behavior that you can pick up along the way that can tell you what's going to happen. Now, we might see some new stuff in this. We might. I'm not going to rule that out. I've been fooled before. But past patterns of behavior are pretty good predictors of future patterns of behavior. Why change? For what? What's the motivation? I can't currently find one. Do you think this is, Alexa asked, do you think this is to protect pedophiles or expose them? Expose them. Absolutely. They can't run. They can't go to Europe and they can't go to Asia. Europe's their favorite place. And furthermore, it's interesting how Central and South America, the Caribbean, Africa, no problems at all. Weird. How very strange. Russia, they're like, we're not even getting in this game. Don't call me no more, don't text me no more. Isn't that interesting that there's such a long border with China? And they're a cold place where a virus in March, January, February, March would thrive. Yet they don't really have any problems. Weird. But the short answer is to expose them. They're going to go down. At least 75% of them are surrounding this town. Global elites, I don't know. They might be a little bit harder to catch. But there's no coincidence that Harvey Weinstein just got wheeled away to Rikers Island. And all the agencies and management firms in town are like, close shop, we gotta go. See you later. No events in Hollywood. Movies push indefinitely. TV shows push indefinitely. It's like you can, like, if Hollywood had shutters, you could hear them crack shut. In my opinion. I can just hear the lucid sounds of the 101 right now. But proverbially, if Hollywood had shutters, they'd be snapping shut. In unison down the block. Because you know how money hungry agents and managers are. They've done far worse for less. And all of a sudden they're like, can't go to work. Nope. I'll leave my expense account here. See you later, guys. Okay, bye. In the middle, like, on the heels of pilot season? Shh. No. There is a foot. Point blank period. So, now that we've done over 40 minutes, I will see you all next week for another episode of No Filter Friday. And then the week after that, I'm going to leave you with a really, really cool pre-recorded episode with a guest who's doing a documentary about the Me Too movement. She's on Instagram. It's at Me2timesUp. And she's a really, really cool chick. So definitely check that out and then check out her Instagram and slide by my Instagram every now and then, you know. If you're not already in my DMs, which is usually no place for respectable folks, you should be, because there's plenty to talk about, even if it's not on the record, because there's a lot of people that are into the show and, you know, kind of lurk around the show, which is fine. I don't mind lurking. I stay lurking. I get it. That aren't necessarily comfortable to comment, but they slide in my DMs all the time. So, I mean, you know, get in where the dick pics are, I guess. And check out other shows on Public House Media that aren't as dark. We just got a new one called Girl Hustle. It's by this lady who runs a marketing firm, and she's a really interesting person. So go check that out. And some other, like the older, you know, old OG shows on the network, like Choose to Rise and Rewritten and all those. And leave us a review or a comment or a star or something. And I will see you all next week. Bye.